Welcome back to How to Be a Better DM, the official podcast of Monsters.rent. I'm Justin Lewis.
And I'm Tanner Wayland.
And we are here to help you tell better stories for yourself and your players as you dungeon master sessions of D&D, Dungeons & Dragons. We'd like to give you some quick announcements. We actually have one before the show, and then after the show, if you want to stick around, we have some more announcements then as well. But first, let's talk about this. Tired of being alone? Are you tired of not having any of your players understand you? Are you tired of never truly belonging? Well, you're in luck. All you need to do is join the Guild. The Guild is a unique and exclusive experience that is only open to Dungeon Masters. It is a full community focused on helping ease your DMing burdens. Want to meet other DMs? Join the Guild. Want to discuss your homebrew ideas with people who would appreciate it instead of just telling your cat? Join the Guild. Want to find a place where all your wildest dreams will come true? Join the Guild. Go to monsters.rent/guild and sign up today for free. Wait, that can't be right. Chuck, can you check this again? Is this supposed to be... What? Oh, they're serious? It's free? Oh, okay. All right. Yes, go to monsters.rent/guild and sign up today for free, even though they are crazy for giving this away for free. Common side effects may include burping, sneezing, laughing, breathing, hearing, listening, tasting, farting, critting, sarcasm, and in extreme cases, explosive diarrhea. Awesome. With that out of the way, we can get into today's show. You face your aggressors stoically. They scoff at you and you feel the presence of one as he edges around to flank you from behind. "Leave me alone. I never done anything to you guys," you say. The older boy looks at you and then looks at his thug-like friends. "You're a freak. An orcish freak. You always will be." He then nods to his friends. You feel a rock hit you in the shoulder. It stings and you turn to look at the thrower. At the same time, you feel a stick hit the back of your leg, and you feel your knee buckle. You start to feel tears flow to your eyes. You throw one punch and land it on someone's face. You immediately feel one, then two, then three fists hit you in different places. You instinctually fall to the ground and ball yourself up to protect yourself. Despite your efforts, you still feel flashes of pain in your head, your gut, and your back. As the beating goes on, you realize they're not going to stop. You weakly whimper out a pathetic, "Please." Your eyes fade to black. You hear, "I can save you." You don't even question it. You respond, "Please, please save me." When you open your eyes, there are 4 dead bodies on the ground. 4 young boys lie at your feet. Your hands are smoking, and for once in your life, you feel no fear. What would you like to do? Welcome back to the 27th episode of How to Be a Better DM. I'm your host, Justin Lewis, and today you and I are going on a journey. That's right. We are going on a journey to explore what it takes to create amazing experiences for yourself and your players as you DM a session of Dungeons & Dragons 5e. It's going to be a back and forth, hopefully, and hopefully we both learn something. Before we go on, though, I'd like to invite you to sign up for my monthly newsletter in which you'll get access to behind-the-scenes content, bonus content, homebrew content, and more. Sign up for this newsletter here, and there's a link in the show notes. Also, in the January issue of that newsletter, you're going to get a special opportunity. In that newsletter, there's going to be a link to sign up to play a one-shot with me as your DM. It is first come, first serve, so make sure you sign up fast. It's going to be a one-shot online, and it should be a lot of fun, ... That's me saying it as the DM. But sign up for that newsletter, and let's get to know each other better. I also want to take a moment and share my gratitude with you. You guys have made this podcast possible. I just want to say thank you for listening to this wherever you are, while you're doing the dishes, while you're working out, maybe while you're trying not to listen to your annoying girlfriend. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully you are in a great relationship because, well, I am. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So, now, Why in the world would you plan a session 0? Well, that's a great question. First of all, you should probably know what a session 0 is. So if you've never heard about it, I'll tell you what it is. But I won't go into too much detail here, but a session 0 is a first session of a campaign where things aren't completely set in stone. You get to play the characters before having to commit to them. So it's essentially the first session, but it's not session 1. So why would you plan a session 0? Well, there are a few benefits. Number 1, you can spend more time with each individual player. One of the nice things about session 0s is that you can split them up. For example, if you are having a campaign of 5 players, you can have a session 0 with 2 of them, 3 of them, or even 1 of them. I don't really recommend doing it just one because that kind of gets boring and weird, but you could, I suppose. You can have a session 0 with just 2 of your players, which makes it more intimate, and it helps you and your players feel like, you're on the same team, you care about each other, because let's be real, you do. You guys care about each other and you're friends. Or at least that's what it should be. Number 2, you can have your players play test their characters. We've all had players who play a character that they don't really like that much. Playtesting during a session 0 allows your players to see what the features, spells, actions, and abilities actually do in a live session. This changes it from, that sounds really cool, to, that was really useful and also really cool. I truly hate it later in the campaign when I start to wonder if a player is having fun. To me, that's the worst. So a session 0 can help them find the character they love and make sure that they're going to have lots of fun playing it. Number 3, you can have your characters meet each other. One of the biggest thorns in my side is figuring out a way to get the characters to meet each other without completely distrusting each other from the beginning and somehow finally forming into an adventuring band. I don't know why, but it's really hard for me. With a session 0, you don't have to make them all meet at the same time. You can actually play the moment when 2 characters meet and become friends. This makes it easier when in session 1 you have all the characters meet up as a whole and a few of them already know each other. Critical Role does this really well in their second campaign on YouTube. There's kind of couples of characters that have already backstory together and they know each other when they all meet up, which makes it really nice. Number 4, you can help set expectations before getting too far. As a DM, you might have to train your players. This means that you're probably going to have to help them understand that your campaign will likely take months and that it will be a commitment and that you expect them to give time and energy just as you will. Though as the DM, you are going to give way more. Obviously, things change and people have to constantly be reevaluating their priorities, which is okay. That's part of life. That's how things are supposed to be. But what isn't okay is someone starting to be a flake on session 2. That's not okay, especially if they don't have a reason. You need to let them know that and any other expectations you have, such as no phones at the table or other rules that you like to have, if you have those certain rules. Number 5, you can ask your players what sort of things they want from the campaign. It's one thing to ask, do you want more combat, roleplay, or a mix of both? And it's another thing to have your players do a big roleplay scene and then find out that they really don't like it. You can ask them real time what sort of things they like and what they didn't. This lets you tweak your campaign to fit what your players want. And essentially you can do this at any point during the campaign, but in a session 0, like I said, nothing's set in stone, so it's like getting ahead. Number 6, you can teach each player how to play their character. Each player will generally have a lot of bells and whistles. It's going to take some time learning how to play your character. Most players generally like to try new classes, so if they had a barbarian last campaign, they might try a spellcaster this campaign. That means that they are going to have to learn a whole new set of rules. A session 0 is a nice way to gently introduce your player to those new rules and help them learn how to play their character correctly. I've mentioned before the sorcerer on my campaign who wanted to walk first into the dungeon. A session 0 is a great way to teach them, sorcerer, squishy, get dead quick. That way they don't die in session 1. Hopefully that happens much later on. Number 7, you can play out backstory. Maybe one of the coolest benefits of a session 0 is that you can actually play through part of the character's backstory. That way, when your character tells the rest of the group that they met their warlock patron at a cookout for a local bardic group, the player actually knows the details. Using the session 0 to help the characters flesh out their backstory works the best when it features the reason the characters started adventuring. That way, their motives are fresh in the players' minds. Well, there you have it. 7 tips, 7 benefits for why you would do a session 0. Number 1, you can spend more time with each individual player. Number 2, you can have your players playtest their character. Number 3, you can have your characters meet each other. Number 4, you can help set expectations before getting too far. Number 5, you can ask your players what sort of things they want from the campaign. Number 6, you can teach each player how to play their character. And number 7, you can play out backstory. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode. Like always, I'm very appreciative of your patronage. I'm very grateful that you listen week in and week out. You guys are the best. And if you get a second, please leave a rating and review so that others can find the show. That would just go immensely far. Again, make sure you sign up for the January newsletter so we can play a one-shot together. But we'll be back next week for another episode. Until then, let's roll initiative. Thank you for listening to today's show. We really appreciate your support and your patronage. We have a few more announcements to go over. First,
did you ever fall in love with the library as a kid? It was a place where you could experience 1,000 stories without having to buy 1,000 books. That is what Monsters.rent can do for your D&D campaign. You can rent and swap out as many quality miniature monsters and creatures for your D&D party as you could ever want, without having to buy them. You can rescue villagers from a kobold camp, or lead your party through the fighting forest, or many more adventures. We're coming out with new bundles all the time. Just sign up for our subscription to get access to your own personal library of minis. Go to monsters.rent to find out more. That's the website. Monsters, with an S, .rent. Get your library pass to a world of minis today.
We also wanted to let you know that today's episode is sponsored by Stardust and Dragons. I'm going to let one of the cast of Stardust and Dragons, Christian Hatcher, and his crew tell you a little bit more about it.
This August, a new adventure podcast is coming to a platform near you, filled with action,
Shoot one of the two of them. We can't keep taking hits like that.
drama,
Everything that she's been doing, everything she's going to do, finally sets in.
and stardust.
Help! Help! Someone, please!
Find out more about this epic odyssey at stardustanddragons.com, where adventure awaits in the stars.
That's all the announcements we have today. Again, thank you so much for everything you do for us. You make this show possible. Like we said before, we'll be back next week with another great episode, and until then, let's go ahead and roll initiative.